Okay, so we have these next two examples to look at in dealing with solving and finding zeros. Okay, now there's kind of, it's not really a trick, but you have a graphing calculator at your disposal. So when we're finding zeros and finding remember that finding zeros is like finding x-intercepts, finding solutions, all of those kinds of things. So if you open up your calculator, we could go and put these equations into our calculator, and then that's going to help you narrow down and find where those solutions are. Okay, so I'm going to put in this next equation, 9x to the fourth power. I use my caret and then my 4 to get my fourth power, and then make sure you arrow to the right to get you out of that exponent mode. So I'm going to go plus 3x. Again, I'm going to use my caret and my 3, but I'm going to arrow right to get out of that exponent mode, minus 30x. I'm going to get my x squared plus 6x plus 12. Okay, so we're going to graph. Now this is just in my standard window, so some of my graph gets cut off, but you can see where you cross here. Okay, so if we were going to go through and find our P's and Q's, we can do that. So your P's are going to come from your 12, your Q's are going to come from your 9. Okay, so my factors of P are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, kind of squished that in there, 6, and 12. My factors for my Q are going to be 1, 3, and 9. So when I go to do my P's divided by my Q's, okay, when I go to do my P's divided by my Q's, we're going to have quite a list. So I've got 1 divided by 1, 2 divided by 1, 3 divided by 1, and so on. Okay, so I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Okay, then I'm going to do, I'm going to divide everything by 3. Okay, so like now if I go 1 divided by the 3, okay, well 1 divided by 3 gives me 1/3. And then I'm going to do 2 divided by 3, so that's 2/3. 3 divided by 3 reduces to 1, so I don't need to list it again. Then I'm going to go 4 divided by 3, so 4/3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then 12 divided by 3 is 4, and we already have both of those. Okay, so now I got to go through and divide everybody by the 9. Okay, so let's see. If I divide by 9, so 1 divided by the 9, so I got 1/9. 2 divided by the 9, 2/9. 3 divided by the 9th is 1/3, so I already have that. 4 divided by 9, and 6 divided by 9. 6 divided by 9 reduces to 2/3, and we already have 2/3, so I don't need to list it again. All right, so here is all your possibilities for rational roots. Okay, all right, well, if we go back, let's look at our calculator, and it looks like we might be able to pick out a couple of these and figure out where they are. So if I kind of go down here, I'm kind of thinking that maybe -2 is a root. So I'm going to type in -2, enter, and see if I'm right. Okay, so -2 does work. So I'm going to use my synthetic division, and I'm going to do -2. Okay, so I've got 9, 3, -30, 6, and 12. Okay, so 9 comes down. I'm going to multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, and there you go. Okay, so we get 0 as a remainder. Okay, now pay attention.
Miss Post. Yeah, people at the bus doors.
Okay, so, all right, so look, we started with a quartic this time, x to the 4th power. So we found a solution, and so that takes us down to a cubic. All right, so in order to get it down far enough so we can factor it, we need to find another solution. So we need another root so we can get it down to a quadratic. Okay, so now, let's see. If I go over here, let's see here. It crosses, looks like it crosses somewhere between 0 and -1. So it might be a -1/2. Oh, well, -1/2 isn't even one of our options. Okay, so, well, I don't really know what that one is. But if I go over here, maybe I'm at 1. So I'm going to choose 1 and enter.
I'm on my way.
And I'm right.
Miss Post is not here. Same with Miss Wells, so I'm on my way.
Okay, so 1, 0 is one of the solutions. Okay, so I'm going to do synthetic division again using 1. So I'm just going to use the new coefficients that I've got. I'm going to bring down the 9, and I'm going to go through. And again, I can already see on my calculator that this is a solution that works. Okay, so I should be expecting to get a 0 as a remainder. And that means we are now down to a quadratic. Okay, so this says 9x squared minus 6x minus 6 equals 0. I'm going to try to factor this. Well, first thing, common monomial. I can take a 3 out, so I'm going to do that first. Oops. Hold on. My pen's not cooperating very well. There we go. So minus 2x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, so I'm going to see if this will factor. Well, I'm going to do a product sum table. My product sum table is going to be a -6 and a -2. Let's see. -3 and a 2, that doesn't work. -6 and a 1, that doesn't work. I was thinking this was going to factor. Am I missing something? Well, okay, I guess it's not going to factor. So we're going to go quadratic formula. So we're going to go opposite of b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so let's simplify this. 2 plus or minus square root. This would be 4 times 3 plus 24 all over 6. So 2 plus or minus square root of 28 over 6. Well, 28 is 4 times 7. That 4 is a 2 and 2, so that comes out. So 2 plus or minus 2 root 7 over 6. And then I can reduce. So this will be 1 plus or minus 1 root 7 all over 3. I divided all 3 terms by 2. Okay, so what are my zeros? Well, my zeros are the -2 and the 1 that I found using my synthetic division, and then this these irrational roots. Okay, so there are my roots. Okay, let's do D. Okay, now same way. Okay, let's do D. So let's do our P's and Q's. So P's are going to come from 42. So I'm going to have 1 Sorry, let me write down that these are my p's. Okay, so my p's are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 14, I think, 21, and 42. My q's are coming from my 2. So my q's are going to be 1 and 2. All right, so my p divided by my q, of course, is all of these p's, because all of these numbers divided by 1 are going to stay the same. So I'm going to have the 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 14, 21, 42. Okay, then I'm also going to have all of these numbers divided by 2. So I'll have 1/2. Well, 2 halves would be 1. I already have that. 3 halves. 6 halves would be 3. I already have it. 7 halves. 14 halves is 7, so I don't need that one. 21 halves. And then 42 halves would be 21. Again, I don't need that one. Okay, so these are all my possibilities. So it's quite a list. So if we were just kind of blindly going, it may take you a while to find a solution that works. Okay, so again, it's going to be helpful if I can use my calculator and at least give me a couple of them to get started. Okay, so I'm going to graph this in just a second and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so I've entered in that equation. I'm going to graph it. Okay, and here's my graph. So again, I can choose some values. Okay, well, I'm kind of thinking maybe -2 is a solution, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to type in -2. Oh, it is. Okay, so I'm going to use -2 as one of my options. And notice it's the 4th power again. So I'm going to need to find 2 of them. So I'm going to use 2, and I might use a +2. Let's check +2. Nope, +2 does not work. 1, 2, 3, 4. I wonder if -4 works. Nope. Oh, no, that's +4. Let's do -4. And that's at 22. So that doesn't quite work either. Okay, so I know -2 works. And let's go over here to the positive. It looks like maybe it's a 1.5, a 1.5. Oh, all right, good, 1.5. Okay, well, let's do the -2 first, and then we'll do the 1.5, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so -2, I'm going to put in okay, so 2 comes down, -4, 1, -2, -20, 40, 21, -42, 0. Okay, good. Now again, we're starting with a quartic. Now we're down to a cubic. And then we said 1.5 works, or that's the same as a 3 halves. I'm going to go 3 halves. But if you want to change it to a decimal, you can work with a decimal. 3 halves times 2 is going to be 3, and then that's going to be 4. 3 halves times 4 is going to be 6. It's a -14. 3 halves times -14 is going to be a -21, and there's my 0. Okay, so we are down to a quadratic. So we're going to have 2x squared plus 14x, or plus 4x minus 14 that we're solving. I'm going to take out a 2. -7 equals 0. Okay, this is not going to factor. So we are going to need to do quadratic formula again. Okay, so go ahead and do the quadratic formula. I'll be back in just a second with the answer. So here is my solutions after I use the quadratic formula. It does simplify down to 1 plus or minus 2 root 2. Okay, so that along with the -2 and 3 halves that we found,